There are moments in history when, if you close your eyes, you can still hear the sound of time itself trembling. Pharsalus, 48 BC, was one of those moments. On the dry, dust-covered plains of central Greece, two Roman armies, once brothers in arms, now faced each other as if two worlds were colliding. On one side stood Pompey the Great, the symbol of the ancient Roman Republic, honored by the Senate, a living embodiment of a political order that had endured for more than 400 years. On the other side stood Julius Caesar, a brilliant general, a daring reformer, a man branded a traitor by Rome's elite. Yet to his soldiers, he was the one who lifted them from hunger, despair, and oblivion. People say the Battle of Pharsalus decided who would rule Rome. They are wrong. It decided the fate of a civilization that would last 15 centuries. Before Pharsalus, Rome proudly called itself a republic, but that was merely a noble mask stretched over a rotting reality. The Senate was no longer a sanctuary of ideals, but a fortress of privilege, a place where men feared losing power far more than losing their nation. Caesar saw this more clearly than any man alive. He knew that Rome needed change, not through promises, but through action, and if it required blood, so be it. When he crossed the Rubicon and declared, "Alea iacta est," the die is cast, it was not merely a military choice. It was the moment a man challenged all of history, determined to rewrite it in his own hand. Pompey commanded twice the men, 3 times the cavalry, abundant supplies, and the banner of legitimacy. Caesar stood with only half that strength, weary from a long march, provisions near exhaustion. But Caesar possessed something Pompey could neither buy nor command: the absolute faith of his soldiers. Pompey's men fought because they were ordered. Caesar's men fought for a man they believed was destiny itself. When the war horn sounded, Pompey chose to stand still, waiting for the enemy to wear themselves out. He believed numbers always prevailed, but Caesar, as always, he chose action. He concealed a small force behind his front line, a tactic that seemed minor, yet carried the mark of genius. And as Pompey's cavalry crashed forward like a tidal wave, that hidden force did not retreat, did not falter. They struck straight at the horses' faces, at the pride of their enemy, shattering Rome's mightiest cavalry in an instant. In the instant Pompey's forces recoiled in chaos, Caesar raised his hand and pointed forward, and like thunder cracking across the Greek sky, his legions surged ahead. Roars of men, steel crashing on steel, the earth trembling beneath thousands of marching feet, and in just a few hours, an era crumbled to dust. Pompey fled, carrying with him not only defeat, but the death of the old order. On that field, Caesar did not merely defeat a man. He crushed a system, an idea, an age whose time had run out. They brought Caesar Pompey's severed head as a trophy, but he did not smile, he did not celebrate, he wept. This is the fate of those who were once great, when the world shifts. It was the reflection of a man who knew that glory and tragedy forever walk side by side, that he who climbs to the highest peak stands closest to the abyss. After Pharsalus, Caesar did not merely seize power, he rebuilt the world. He rewrote the laws, rebuilt the machinery of the state, and created the Julian calendar, the very foundation of our modern calendar. He paved the way for Augustus, and with that, Rome entered an imperial age that would endure for nearly 15 centuries. From Rome's roads to its laws, from its armies to its culture, from its architecture to its philosophy, all bear the imprint of that moment at Pharsalus. But history never gives without taking. Those whom Caesar saved now feared him. Those he lifted up worried his shadow would eclipse their sun. And so, 4 years after that victory, in the Senate hall, the knives fell. Yet even as Caesar fell, he had already laid the foundation for an era that would rise stronger than ever. There are those who merely exist in history, and there are those who shape it. Julius Caesar was such a man. Julius Caesar did not wait for his time, he forged it. At Pharsalus, he did not just win a battle, he defeated time itself. From that day, Rome was no longer just a city, no longer merely a republic. It became an empire, and the world would never be the same again.